Hi Sagittarius, this is your July 2018 Astrology Horoscope. This is an intense month. There are two eclipses in the same month. They are transformative. The lunar eclipse is the longest lunar eclipse, longest any eclipse that has been in existence since the century. And the Mars is closest to Earth in a decade and it's moving backwards. Mercury is going retrograde, and on the positive note, your ruler is going direct. Jupiter is finally coming out of the retrograde phase since March. We've been waiting for the forward moment, and there are two grand trines. So there's a lot of positive energy. Let's dig in. Let's start with 12th of July when the first eclipse of this month happens. It's the solar eclipse, the new moon solar eclipse in 20-degree Cancer, happening in your 8th house of transformation. Now, solar eclipses are when moon and sun come together to create something new for you. In this month, for you, it's creating a new transformation, maybe a new phase in life. You finished some phase of your life in June because there was a full moon in your sign, which usually brings up some large events of closure, a chapter closing in your life. So now with this new moon solar eclipse, you might see some new transformation happening, a new phase maybe starting. Pluto is opposing this new moon, so it's fairly intense. Eighth house has got to do with something legal issues, maybe some new legal proceedings are starting. It's also to do with joint finances with your partner, so maybe something related to your joint finances with your partner might come into questions. This house is also to do with separations or divorces, so there might be unfortunately some proceedings in divorces starting, but this is to do with the north node, so it is something that you want, and it's something that is in line with your expectations. This house is also to do with financial support from external sources like a financial institute or a sponsor. So it might be about getting a new sponsor for your business as well. The rebirth involved in this house will evolve over the next 2 years. So this is just the first in the series of eclipses which will happen in this house, and they will play out over the next 2 years. This specific eclipse is weaker. It's only valid for a month, but it will give you the first message, the first information in this series of eclipses which will turn out. It is something that you should listen into and see what opportunities of transformation might come about for you. The eclipse might start off with a little bit of a crisis because eclipses are fairly intense, and Pluto opposition, which is Pluto, is also a sign of transformation. So it could be a bit more intense than a normal new moon. Intimacy is also heightened in this eclipse because eighth house is also about your bed pleasure and intimacy house, so that might also get highlighted in this. And it's also about discovering. It's transformative. It's about discovering yourself, your self motivation, your values. You're starting a new phase in your life, so you are discovering who you are, and at the start of it you might want to look at what your personal values are and what you want to carry forward in this new phase of life. This axis, as I said, is valid for 2 years, and it will play between your soul and your material values. The axis, there's always an opposition, right? You're focusing on one part of your life, and the other part is also going to play a role in. So you're looking at transformation in your personal life, probably, or maybe in your joint resources, and your material resources, your own self-worth come into focus as well, which is the opposition. And you'll face this opposition throughout the next 2 years, whether you focus on your rediscovering yourself, your soul, your values, or you focus on creating material value for yourself. That axis will play out over the next 2 years. It's also becoming aware of the price of debt. It's becoming aware of what price you need to pay for this transformation, or it's also about meeting your or other person's dark side, or freedom from your dark side, or freedom from a controlling situation that you have been in. So that's it. This will ultimately bring about some healing for you, but it's transformative, and you have to undergo this change. What's supporting you during this solar eclipse is a very positive grand Earth trine that exists. So Venus, the benefic planet, is sitting in your 10th house of career. Saturn is sitting in your material houses, for making you work hard for your money, and Uranus is in 6th house, which is transforming your work situation. And all three of these energies come together. When Venus and Uranus are coming together, you're trying something new. It's transitioning you towards a better situation, which is a long-term positive material situation for you. So that's what I was telling you about, that during about 9th to 16th of July, something very positive on the material resources might come across through the career change, through the work situation that you are in for you. It is also a change in situation, a change in work, which you're seeing the first payoff from come about. There are also many other positive energies at work for you, but you have to keep something in mind while you're undergoing this work situation change. Mars is retrograde in your 3rd house of communication. It went in retrograde position on 26th of June. When Mars is moving backward, your energy, your drive goes through a change. It's a bit of a learning process on how to use your energy and drive in your communication and your dealings with your coworkers, which means that the transit in July might play out in form of stresses in these relationships. For example, your communication with your coworkers might not be going in the positive direction. You might see some conflicts come about. Maybe there's a difference in opinion. Maybe you're spreading your energy too thin in too many directions and you need to focus yourself. This might also play out in a test of courage for you, because 3rd house is also for courage. So you might need to show courage and creativity in some new endeavor that you've taken over. This is also to some extent in material format, could play out in your cars not working properly, vehicles not turning out in the right way. So just be careful while driving. There's also Mercury retrograde at the end of the month. So during this month, you should be very careful if you drive on your own, to take care of that and not get hurt. There is also the tempers are high. You keep your head, you pick your shots. It's a learning process how you deal with your coworkers. Maybe those are new coworkers that you're dealing with, but by mid-August you'll come out all right, because you learn your lesson in this area. You also would see this very strongly at the start of the month, so be careful around the 5th especially of the month, because Mercury is going to be in opposition to Mars, so there could be some conflicts, arguments. You might win this argument, by the way, because both the planets are working in positive energy with you, but you don't want to squander goodwill. So don't be defensive, don't be provocated, because you would be getting people around you would be having some negative energies. So don't get into the negative side of argument. Try to come to the positive side. Know that this energy is working positively for you. So if there is any conflict, you would come to the positive side. Just don't lose your head in this conversation. You need to keep your head on your shoulder. There's also a very positive energy working during this time, which has got to do with your 8,000 bed pleasures and romance, because Sun is in Cancer during this time. It's all about healing, feeling positive about any relationships that you might have going, maybe hidden relationships to some extent, because it's 8th house, and there is a grand water trine which is formed between Sun, Jupiter and Neptune. All of these three planets, they're sitting in pleasure houses right now, more about your emotional well-being. So at the start of the month, around 5th to the 10th of the month, this plays out. You would want to be careful about any deception in your personal relationships also during this time. That's a negative manifestation of it, but you should be blessed overall, and receive some positive energy. If you have especially any private matters, any benefits from hidden relationships that you are undergoing right now, because Jupiter is in the 12th house right now, so your hidden life is expanded. There are things that are happening behind the scene. It's all part of the transition. July 10th, your ruler, Jupiter, goes direct. What more can you ask for? You've been waiting for this. Things have been moving slow for you, and that might see a release of energy going forward. Jupiter is in 12th house right now. You're undergoing the closure of a 12-year cycle, and a new cycle will start in November for you when Jupiter will enter your sign. That would be a fabulous energy for you. That's the start of a new 12-year positive cycle for you. Jupiter in your sign is very happy because it's your ruler. Right now it's in Scorpio, so it's more involved in private affairs. It's about knowing yourself, going behind the scene, working hard there, trying to get rid of what does not serve you. Maybe even rediscovering your self-destructive tendencies and getting rid of that. There might be some affairs and work during this time which you need to go through, just to go through the process, and come to the other side to realize your dark side probably. And your dark side might get highlighted when Jupiter is in the 12th house, which is your dark side. Your dark side is highlighted. You might be engaged in some activities you may not be proud of later in life, but at this point in time you need to go through that to get rid of some self-destructive tendencies, and even to realize your self-destructive tendencies. It's also time to regenerate. Your private life is helping you heal, regenerate, so you can move to the next phase in life. So that's first half of the month. The second half of the month is all about material manifestation. As I said, you when this grand earth trine between Venus, Saturn, Uranus happens between 9 to 16, you have to work on something related to your career. This is an excellent time for your career, and it's the time to push as well. All the planets are working in your favor during this time. You should make use of this time to make any sort of pitches at work, etc., and make the money work for you. The networks also would work out for you. Then happens the 27th of July, full moon solar eclipse. The eclipse that I told you is the closest, is the longest that has been in a century. So it's a very powerful eclipse happening in Aquarius, but thankfully it's happening in a very benign sign, a very benign house for you. It's the third house. It's the same house I told you your Mars energy is in. So there might be karma with your sibling or a coworker which is coming to a closure. Maybe your way of being with a coworker or your sibling which is coming to an end. This full moon is about letting something go, letting some way of being go, because it's coming with South Node, but it's also coming with the retrograde Mars, and it's squaring Uranus. So you'll see some sudden action. Maybe, as I said, tempers are going to flare up, so you need to be careful about your own brashness during this process, because this is your communication house. So when Mars is in third house, you're working a lot during this month. This month is all about communicating with a lot of people, and you're engaged in a lot of work, but you may just be careful not to be brash during this cycle, because you have a lot of things working out for you. You're moving towards a different phase of life, so you want people to be strategically working for you. And when you're moving to this new phase in life, this transit will teach you how to make your communication work positively for you, how to make your relationship with your co-workers work positive for you, how to make your relationship with siblings move positive for you. So this is also going to reshape your courage and your creativity and your communication skills. So that's where the month would and that's the last eclipse in Aquarius. You've undergone a lot of eclipses in Aquarius over the last 2 years, but this is the last in the series, so make advantage of that. Let go some pattern of communication that's not serving you. Let go of some way of being with your co-workers that is not serving you, so you can move to a better phase of life. This transit, because it deals with third house, it affects your nervous system, so just be careful. If you engage in any kind of yoga or breathing exercises, do that, because you need to calm your nerves down, and just see that this energy works well for you. Mercury does go retrograde on July 26th in your travel house, so if possible, don't travel end of the month. That may not go as planned, or just have extra bit of planning done for end of the month if that's when you plan to work. Have a great month ahead. It's a transformative month. It's the most important month in my view of this year. except of November transit when Jupiter moves into your sign. So I would pay a lot more attention to what's happening in this month for you. Good luck. Thank you.